Our last series of the day is the one that I'm most excited for. It's Fr0zen versus Zalae. This series, this best of three, will feature a Shaman. And we have seen Zalae play exactly one Shaman game, and he's won that singular Shaman game. So 100% win rate.
Yeah.
Grandmasters.
Yeah, and he's going to be
Potential.
playing the Shaman in game one as well, and he's going to be going up against the Hunter from Fr0zen. So maybe a little bit of a tougher matchup, but sometimes it can be hard for Hunter to constantly deal with like wide small boards with only access to only one Unleash the Hounds. So we'll definitely see. I will admit that outside of a few certain matchups, Quest Shaman is a deck that I've yet to master. So I'm going to rely a lot on Zalae's plays himself because he's, I would call him a master. He's been playing the deck a lot, the only player in Americas to bring it. And Fr0zen on that Highlander Hunter with a few, I guess, a few interesting inclusions in the deck. He does have a Fairy Dragon. He opted in for an Explosive Trap as a secret. He has a Spellbreaker as well and a Valpyra Scoundrel. The biggest one, I think, though, is that Azalina Soul Thief. Which one of the things that Hunter sometimes struggles with, especially with the low curve Hunter, is resource generation. You have Hunter's Pack and Subject 9, but outside of that, not much. So being able to unload your hand and then Azalina to be able to get resources from your opponent can have a large benefit in some matchups. And especially in a multi-class format, Azalina just allows you that flexibility, but it has the downside of sometimes being inconsistent and a dead card in hand for a long time.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely see, but I talked about it. I said Fr0zen, one of the most innovative players and specialists in Season 1. Ended the regular season with the best record out of all 16 players in America's Grandmasters, and did it off the back of really good play and a lot of creativity when it came to building a specialist lineup. And I'm excited to see him transition that into Conquest Shield and see if he can kind of mimic his performance from Season 1.
I'm a big fan of Shaman. I think that this deck has a lot of potential. You can even see that Zalae protected his Shaman. That's how much confidence he has in it. He doesn't want people to ban it, which is kind of weird because I don't think anyone was going to ban it anyways.
Yeah.
It seems a very unusual choice there from Zulaey, but he's a big advocate for this deck. And for specifically for this deck in the tournament, most people who have chosen to not bring the Shaman, and Zulaey was trying to convince him, and Zulaey said, you know what, I think that I'm right, and I like that. I want to see more people take that line of thinking where they can bring something a little bit unusual and then try to find some pockets where to play it. And yesterday when we saw it against Warrior, we saw Amnesiac have a little bit of an awkward draw, but more importantly, Zulaey was able to just like get in the chip damage here and there and then finally get a big push for damage, what we've come to expect from the Quest Shaman. And when you see it fire on all cylinders with like Barista Lynchin as it's some of its top end with greedy stuff like Shutterwalk, I feel like this deck gets really scary sometimes.
Yeah, it does. And I think players have yet to realize its full potential, maybe outside Zulaey. Zulaey, I think, understands full potential. But I also think it's not fully refined yet as well. I like Zulaey's list very much in the current metagame, at least the decks we're seeing right now in Conquest Shield. And also room for improvement if things start to change, right? It's not getting affected at all by any of the changes. I think that some of its matchups are going to get better, specifically Mage, because I think that because of sometimes how slow it is susceptible to Mage because they do give them some time, but you can make it faster. And right now, in a world where you kind of have to be a little faster against Mage, can sometimes be a liability. But in the future, meaning a couple days from now, when the patch hits, it doesn't have to be as fast and can get real greedy and slow and go for those combos that we saw beat the Warrior yesterday.
Yeah, I think that the Shaman specifically has a deck list that you want to play in tournaments. Zulaey has 2 Youthful Brewmasters, a Barista Lynchin, and that kind of stuff is better when you know the game is going longer. If you're going up against the Rogues, I would probably not suggest that. Youthful Brewmaster and Barista Lynchin seems like it won't stop you from getting killed by Hook Scimitars. And so I think of when you're going up against those kinds of decks more on ladder, right? Because on ladder you might even see the mech hunters. Like I'm actually seeing a rise of aggressive hunters to try to kill mages and warriors and whatnot. I've been struggling a little bit with the Quest Shaman, so I had to retool it, and I started playing a little bit more anti-aggro tools, and it felt like a lot better that way.
Yeah.
So I highly suggest if you want to play any kind of Quest Shaman, proceed with caution. I do think that it does have a lot of potential, but I also think that it has a pretty high skill cap, given that there's a lot of different ways you can play. This deck has very clear moments where it wants to flip a switch from being value-oriented to being very aggressive, or to be aggressive to just being a little bit defensive and combo-oriented, right, to go into the late stage of the game. So I feel like part of the reason why his play percentages are so weak in terms of the overall statistics is because of how difficult it is, even though on the surface it seems really easy. Oh, just play Battlecry minions and just try to win the board.
It's tough to find a balance between those things, between playing for value, which resources to hold on to, which ones to throw away. But in this matchup, oftentimes you don't have the luxury of time, which is, I think, the big thing.
All right, let's go into game number 1. Fr0zen has thankfully reconnected. Had a little bit of a weird disconnect there. Sunreaver Spy, Eaglehorn Bow, Rat Trap, and Volpera's Scoundrel. So he does have the Sunreaver Spy early start with the weapon. That's a really powerful thing to start things off. Rat Trap is unlikely to proc, which is actually a good thing if you're trying to get those secret activations. So I probably would toss the Scoundrel and think about keeping everything else.
Yeah.
Quite honestly.
Yeah.
Zalae chilling on his couch. Seems to be his preferred mode of transportation as a superhero. You can see him having the keyboard and wearing a Firebat shirt.
Live every day like your Firebat.
What does that mean? Enter Firebat as in the persona that he has, or just like being Firebat? Live every day like you're the 2014 world champion?
I don't know. Someone asked me. All right, Snake Trap. Threw away the Rat Trap. I think looking for more like guaranteed value secrets, and find Snake Trap, which in this matchup is a very guaranteed value, because the Shaman needs to fight for bordering on, try and buy themselves some time. Not a great hand for Zulaey. That makes it a lot better.
Yeah, it's definitely a better draw. Questing Explorer, able to pick up something. Sees the Snake Trap. Obviously not happy to see it, but he pops it, which is important. So you can disable the Mass Contender. Mind Control Tech. Mind Control Tech is always a card that I always find hard to... like when you always develop a board against Shaman, they have the Mogu Flesh Shaper or they have the Mind Control Tech.
And this is a big term for Fr0zen, whether or not he wants to play around Mind Control Tech. It's only one of in Zalae's list, so...
I mean, there's also other cards to consider, like the Sandstorm Elemental.
Yeah.
Which there are 2 ofs, and you would get punished pretty heavily for it.
Yeah. I do like the trade when considering the Sandstorm Elemental. Maybe not so much Mind Control Tech, because...
Chances are it steals a 1/1.
Yeah, chances are it steals a 1/1, and also I just feel like early on in the game like this, playing around one-ofs that are not generally kept in the mulligan is not the right move.
No Lackey for the Weaponized Wasp. I gotta say that I anticipate Weaponized Wasp to be like way better. And I thought it was gonna be one of the most powerful cards of the set, and it just turns out it's okay.
Yeah.
The condition that's set on it is reminds me a lot of like Gormok the Impaler. If you remember that legendary from I think the Grand Tournament.
Yeah.
It was a 4-mana 4/4 that said if you control 4 or more minions, deal 4 damage.
Yeah.
And you know, some people were saying like this card seems super scary. I remember Reynan was a big champion of that card because, you know, that the effect is great, but the condition is surprisingly hard to hit for Shaman, even though you have so many Lackey generators.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, TJ.
And both are pretty like vanilla stats for its cost, so it's not like the worst thing in the world to play it on its own.
Right. So like for example, if you had the Lackey guaranteed, Wasp would be great here. But because you don't get to play it this turn.
Yeah.
And it becomes out of turn late, and it's like, well, you're playing basically a late fire elemental. Weaponized Wasp coming down for 3 mana on turn 6 is nowhere near as powerful as his early game. So I'd say it's a balanced card, TJ, in a very weird way.
Yeah, I know. a balanced card, and when it's not good at all, and when it's good, it's really good. So the 25%, 75% meeting in the middle for 50% balance is right on key. 4 battle cries played, kind of an awkward situation for Zulaey where he wants to hold on to the lackey for the battle cry. So just going to go ahead and play out mind control tech. It's a big nod for Fr0zen, considering that now he doesn't have to worry about playing around it because it is a one-of.
Yeah, Ziliax here.
Unity, precision.
Pretty effective, shutting down the mind control tech with the Divine Shield trade. Sets up the Snip Snap as well in the future turns. Zalae will finish the quest next turn. I think he's 5 out of 6. And by doing so, can play a Battle Cry, Hero Power, and then play Weaponized Wasp or Ethereal Lackey. I think his best card might be the Sandstorm Elemental. Ethereal Lackey here still might be one of the lead off. Although Zulaey might be tempted to buy something else.
I think Totem is the lead off.
Why?
Because if you play Ethereal Lackey, you override the Totem with the Hero Power.
Nothing.
And if you don't pick up something for 2 mana, then you're floating 2 mana.
That's fair.
Because this is his 6th battle cry, correct?
It is.
Yeah.
Also saying that he could hero power and play something else, but I don't think it's that powerful right now.
Yeah, because Weaponized Wasp is likely going into a minion here, which none of these have more than 3 health. I mean, you could pick Big Bad Voodoo here and then play Weaponized Wasp, Big Bad Voodoo, and I think that was the thought process from Zalae. He's like, well, do I want a Totem or do I want a chance to play a spell that I get off Ethereal Lackey that could help me get back on board? Like a Lightning Bolt or something like an Earth Shock.
Subject 9, that's a great draw. Fr0zen, I don't think he has any more mechs though. Let me look at his deck list real quick. He has a Ziliax, he has an Urstron, he has a Snip Snap. Those are the usual 3. I like the Azalina Soul Thief in the deck. That is a pretty cute inclusion, given that he might go up against Warriors. Although he is banning Warriors, so not necessarily as effective against that.
Yeah.
So I think I like the Snip Snap Magnetize here.
So it would bring this Ursatron up to 8 health. He saw the spell picked up from Ethereal Lackey. I wonder if he trades in the Lackey to remove the possibility for a second Weaponized Wasp.
Yeah, you know, the Lackey does make it more complicated to the point where it almost discourages me from playing Snip Snap. Almost, though.
He can also go wide with Snip Snap.
That is true.
I don't know how much I like that.
I think it's pretty solid. Yeah, this stops him from getting destroyed by any kind of battle cry that deals damage as well.
Yep.
Oh boy. Oh mama, he even gets to bounce it back with the Bog Slosher. He also doesn't have to go for a double Sandstorm Elemental. He can just play it once and bounce back, say, the Ethereal Lackey. Or he can't bounce back the Weaponized Wasp, though. That's probably the most unfortunate aspect of all this. Well, he can bounce back the Weaponized Wasp, but it's like, it kind of jams his mana. So the 2 plays that I see are bounce the Lackey and then go for 1 single Elemental. Oh, also, whatever he gets off of this, he can bounce this and play it again, although it's not really that.
Yeah. I don't know what's best there, honestly. It's also he's leaving this Ursatron up.
Right. I do kind of want to play the Bog Slosher on the Lackey, though. So this is kind of what we're thinking. I wasn't sure if he wanted to hero power versus play the lackey again for tempo, but I think this is best. Bran, 7 off the top.
And Zalae now, Life Drinker has to be at the forefront of his mind, and that's a very expensive. He also needs to deal with the board and worry about Fr0zen having damage from hand, which he has plenty of with Unleash the Hound's Kill Command hero power.
Yes, he needs the Ethereal Lackey to come up big here. Frost Shock.
Frost Shock's very good.
But he needs to heal.
And he can't Life Drinker and Frost Shock this turn. I mean, he might just be dead.
I think he is dead. Even if he heals for 6, I think he can't stop everything.
With 4 minions on board, if he doesn't make trades, which he's going to make trades, but at the very least, you have 1 Hound, Kill Command, and Hero Power. So if he doesn't heal, that's 8 damage from hand. And if he plays Frost Shock, which he has to, then... Oh, Titanic? Titanic could have made a difference.
Not really. The Kill Command hero power just ends everything.
Oh yeah, Kill Command hero power, you're right.
Unfortunately, it's just going to stop Zulaey right in his tracks.
Yep.
It's a good effort, though. Almost stabilized.
Yeah, because he had the Life Drinker, which would have healed for 6.
Dang. That Bran off the top, showing you why that Bran Bronzebeard, or rather Dino Tamer Bran, one of the strongest games in the current meta game. And Fr0zen's going to go up to a 1-0 lead. Once again, Hunter just killing on 8. And it's a mid-range deck, but it explodes sometimes like an aggro deck, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's that's why its power level is so high, because it has multiple game plans. It can try and stifle early game pressure from decks with secrets and like very disruptive early game minions. And then it has like a natural clock with the hero power and big bursts of damage, as you could see there with Dino Tamer Bran. So I think especially going to next week, when we see a lot of decks get a little bit weaker and Hunter staying the same power level while it's already in the top 3, Hunter I think is going to be pretty much auto-include many lineups, unless something drastic happens with the metagame, right? You are seeing nerfs to 2 decks that Hunter preys on, with Mage and Warrior, which could have adverse effects. You see less of those, maybe more decks that Hunter's weak against, and then it goes away from the metagame. But I think that it's consistent enough to be good. And again, after game 1, I went on a long rant, and we're supposed to go to a break, and I always forget. Dan, take us away.
We'll be right back.
My name is Sam Braithwaite, and I'm the Senior Global Franchise Lead for Hearthstone Esports. This event was especially cool because it takes place right after the brand new expansion, Rise of Shadows. Historically in Hearthstone Esports, we do our big events like this towards the end of an expansion cycle, but we really wanted to shake things up and really showcase that not only is the world champion the person who can pilot the best decks, but also the person who, when presented with a brand new game, can put together the best decks leading into the world championship. Cheers to you guys, the sold-out crowd here for the HCT 2019 World Championship.
Welcome back to 2019 HCT World Championship.
We've had a lot of fun games, and we're looking forward to the grand finals. Showdown. Viper versus Hunter Ace. Only one can be the champion. Oh, come
Match be dead.
Wacko pick of this coming out from Hunter.
It's now or never. Arch Villain Reform.
Okay. In a completely solved game, Hunter Ace finds a way to maximize his chances. It's been a wonderful journey throughout the past few years of the Hearthstone Championship Tour, where stars were made and dreams came true.
My name is Paul Nemeth, aka Zalae, and you can find me on Twitter at ZalaeHS, and more importantly, my stream, twitch.tv/ZalaeHS. Tune in, twitch.tv/ZalaeHS. A day in my life, I wake up when I feel like it, then I go to the gym when I feel like it, after that I stream when I feel like it, and then after that, I try and do something productive, and it doesn't always work. My personal goals for this year, I prefer to make short-term goals. So I try to live each day as best I can and make good decisions in the moment. And I don't focus too much on long-term goals because that can be complicated. And I think it's good to keep things simple and focus on what's important in the here and now. You know, it would be pretty cool if I could be first place in the Grandmasters system, but to be completely honest, I don't expect that. Just saying's a little bigger than me. Yeah, second place. That seems like a realistic goal. I could probably finish second place in the Grandmasters program. And I feel like second place it's a nice, comfortable spot for me. I'm into second place.
Hearthstone Grandmasters continues with our last series of Super Saturday. Zalae versus Fr0zen. Zalae dropped the game with Shaman, and you know what? Even though the 100% win rate was broken after one game, we get to see Shaman maybe play again.
We do.
And I think that ultimately, those kinds of games, Hunter's not losing many of them. They start off with Coin Secret into Sunny for Spy, into an Animal Companion, into being able to curve out all the way to Bran, and then finish off with Kill Command. I mean, that's why Hunter is good.
Yeah.
It's a quite an unstoppable deck, to be quite honest.
Yeah, it seems very powerful right now, and I'm surprised more players didn't include in their lineup, Zalae included. But again, opted for the Shaman and protect the Shaman. And he's going to go all in on that plan because in game number 2 here, he's going to play Shaman. And he's going to be going up against Fr0zen's Priest, and I think this is a pretty difficult matchup. You need to stifle early board states from the Priest, and outside of Earthshock, Zalae doesn't have great ways of doing that. He's fighting with a lot of like 1-1s and 2-3s and 3-3s, while Fr0zen's going to be fighting with big stuff. So we'll see how it's going to pan out for him. But if this is Fr0zen's hand, this is not the greatest starting hand if he already mulliganed. And it looks like that is the case. So,
Zulaey has a very nice with Corrupted Waters, Questing Explorers, and Bog Slosher. Although the Northshire Cleric is probably not happy to see. Zulaey with the very cheeky, well-played. Oh my gosh.
Oof. That's the goods.
Oh, hold on.
Oof.
That's also good too.
Yeah, but if you're shocked now, yes, you deny draw, but then Fr0zen is free to start buffing things. Which I don't know if Zalae can afford to not Earthshock, but it is tough.
Well, we can Questing Explorer if you want to draw first and then Earthshock. Oh my.
Oh.
This gets really interesting now, because you can kill and you can silence. But it looks like Zalae's favoring the flexibility of his coin, because he can like Questing Explorer, Goblin Lackey next turn, or you can use Bog Slosher with another card he picks up. Oh no, he only has 2 mana next turn because of the Overload.
Yeah.
So this hand here from Fr0zen is the goods for the end game, and he hasn't drawn them all early. So he did have 2 good cards early on, but a couple of awkward ones now. The Northshire Cleric doing her best Monsanto impression.
I see what you did there.
You didn't think I'd let you forget, would TJ? Would you?
No. Yeah, I think Idritolvir trade.
Oh my.
And you can throw out an inner fire as well, just because you have the second one. Earthshock's done, so Fr0zen can feel free to make these kind of aggressive plays.
Yeah, it's like you're saying. Earthshock allows the buffs to go down.
The right way.
Yeah. And this is his hand. Like, his hand says, Inner Fire, Divine Spirit says, buff up a minion and hope that he don't got it. And I wouldn't even mind a heal plus a Divine Spirit right now. You put him to 5, you have a couple outs for lethal going into turn 5. Outside of a second Earthshock, Zalae would have no way of dealing with this.
I think I'm okay with that.
Oh, so he's going for
Wow.
a guaranteed 3-turn clock.
Oh my gosh. And if he picks up like extra arms, that's lethal.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Zalae's like, wow, I can't deal with that.
So this is pretty much an all-in play from Fr0zen. That's a Divine Spirit, both Inner Fire is gone. So outside of extra arms, he has no way to buff up any additional minions should this injured Tolvir be dealt with. But he saw the Earthshock off the top. He knows there's only one left in the deck. Zulaey, Earthshock, Evil Totem.
Totem.
Titanic Lackey could be a way for him to buy time.
Sure.
But he needs a turn, like a full turn of taking 10 to be able to do that.
Just saying he has a taunt tome that can get in the way.
He has a taunt totem that he get in the way, but
25% chance.
Yes, 25% chance.
Doesn't get it.
Is that extra arms?
Oh! What is this?
Yikes!
Zalae just getting nut drawn on. No ding for his opponent, I guess.
That'll do it.
What the heck? Poor Zalae.
Poor Zalae.
Ready with the back injury, laying on the couch.
It's speed of man. It's beating the man while he's down, literally.
Yeah, I mean, that's why people are saying the extra arms is nerf is going to be impactful.
Yeah.
Obviously, it didn't really matter in the sense that it looked like Zulaey was in a bad spot.
Yeah.
But also, he only had 5 mana available, so
He would have needed one more
mana.
turn.
Yeah, he would need one more turn, which might have made a difference. You never know.
It could have, yeah.
Because Zulae's hand wasn't looking that bad.
Yeah, and he had one more chance for Earthshock.
Right.
So, you know, maybe things go his way, and he picks up the Earthshock and has the chance. But no point in really talking about that because Fr0zen 2-0 victory in his first matchup. You know, not
We're
making.
supposed to talk about in this interview. We're supposed to after the first game. Right?
Yeah, I mean, the second game had a lot of impactful decisions. Like,
It
wasn't just he played a card off his top. It was recognizing what his hand was telling him to do.
Okay.
You know, the inner fire right off the bat, and then like not even going for heal in Divine Spirit, and instead just going right in with the inner fire, putting a minion on board to try and give himself more outs for lethal damage. You know, I think that was a lot of tough decisions to be made. It wasn't just automatic, right?
Yeah. Let's go ahead and talk to Fr0zen right now.
I'm doing my best to justify it.
It's right. You're right. Why don't we hear from the man himself? Fr0zen's joining us on the line. Fr0zen, you there?
Yep. What's up?
Doing well. How about you? How's everything?
Pretty good. I'm still in Korea, so haven't really left. I went to China to watch TI for a few days, and now I'm back.
That's great. Yeah, I saw you tweeting about it. That must have been a really cool experience. Thanks for traveling and having a webcam. I think some of your peers could learn a thing or two about that.
Yeah.
Fr0zen, talk to us a little bit about some of those small decisions that had huge payoff there. Let's go in back immediately to game number 2. You know, I think some people probably would have played a little slower, maybe like heal, or maybe like be a little greedier. You know, what told you to go in right there and then?
I actually play Battlecry Shaman a lot, and most of the time, his list is actually a little bit better versus Priest since he runs the double Earthshock. But without the double Earthshock, the matchup is really, really, really rough because if Priest takes 1 minion and he just goes in on it, the Shaman actually has no answer, and they just have the taunt for the rest of the game. So that's exactly what I tried to do, and I wanted to make it the 5/5 just because regarding my hand, that Interfire is not going to do anything for the rest of the game. So the second, like with the 2 Interfires in my hand, it just made sense to use the first one for 3 extra damage.
Got it. Anything that stuck out to you in the first game as well, the Hunter versus the Shaman to start off the series?
I think that matchup is just pretty good in general, since I think early game and late game, like early game, mid game, late game, I think the Reno Hunter just in general does better. Yeah, I actually just don't like how he built the Shaman list. Not enough Battlecry, and he has just a lot of cards that in general don't do anything. And I think that his game plan is a lot slower with the Brewmasters. I would have definitely liked him to see like a more aggressive game plan with maybe like Argus.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Is there any so you're going into Grandmasters Season 2 with a lot of momentum from Season 1 and a new format. We've been asking the players their thoughts after, you know, playing it a little bit this weekend. Do you have any thoughts to add to the discussion?
It'll be interesting. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I think the Protect format and the fact that you don't have to play every deck gives less room to prepare and target. I mean, you can still do specific tech card decisions with the ban, maybe, but you can't really have an all-in strategy. So you'll see a lot of the top-tier decks, highest win rate decks across the board being seen more play, and I don't think there's that much strategy. And I think a lot of the pick bans are going to be 50-50s, where if you ban this and your opponent bans that, you get punished, and if your opponent bans there's like a 50-50 mind game set where like whoever both players have matchups where they want to hit, and then it's like a coin flip in the direction they want it to go.
Do you think that's more symptomatic of the balance of the current meta, or do you think that's just going to continue as long as it's a 4 deck set up like this?
I think it'll be a continual factor. It's just how the matchups go. Maybe you can edge it a little bit where there's like a 60-40 matchup where you want to hit, and then there's like a 70-30 for your opponent matchup, and then maybe you have to balance it, like maybe you ban this 40% of the time and then you ban that 60% of the time, something like that, in order to not get punished. And it's hard to say.
Yeah, it's true.
I was going to say I'm not surprised to hear that from the guy who, in 2015, 2016, you tried to hard target Warrior in the last call tournament.
Yeah, that was 2016.
2016. I know that you like to be creative with hard target strategies, so I know the shield probably hit you a little bit harder than most of the other players in Grandmasters. That didn't work out for you, but I still to this day remember that and respect that decision.
I think that's what people remember the most out of that last. I don't even really remember what else happened in that tournament.
I don't remember. I don't even remember who won.
All right, well,
Fr0zen was the real winner in my heart back then.
He was the people's champ. He was the people's champ. All right, Fr0zen, well, we don't want to take too much of your time. Thank you so much for joining us from Korea. Enjoy the rest of your vacation, and good luck in your match tomorrow.
All right, thank you so much. See you guys.
Right, take care. All right, and he just fluttered away.
I hope that the audience at home heard that.
Yeah, otherwise we just look really stupid.
Yep.
Hope you guys have enjoyed the broadcast. Super Saturday is done, our first of the season. We have 8 weeks of this, 7 of the regular week, and then we have 8 for the playoffs.
That's right.
Let's go ahead and recap what our matches were today. We started off with ETTC.
Yeah.
We have Strike versus Naoki. And then Rage versus Amnesia.
Go ahead, continue with the second act.
Then Mama Santa versus Baba. PNZ versus Zulaey. Then we have Fr0zen versus Zalae.
Now I really hope that people at home couldn't hear it, the noise that we heard, because that would be even funnier, that whole thing. But yeah, it was a marathon of a day. We had the shortest match and the longest match so far of America's Grandmasters. Granted, it's only been 2 days, and all happened in the same series, with an hour and 15-minute long game and then a 2-minute long game with Monsanto versus Bloodyface.
Monsanto versus Bloodyface. That one game was like longer than any other series.
I would say it definitely was. I mean, it was.
The last 2 series were actually fairly quick.
Yeah, we had 5 2-0s today.
And we went the distance.
And that was right after Purple said at the very beginning of the day that this format tends to lead itself to more 2-1. Which is even funnier because that came off of him destroying ETC 2-0, and then 4 2-0s were to follow for the rest of the day.
To be fair, Shrivecover's Nagadown was felt pretty closely contested as well as.
Yeah, it could have been a 2-1 had that first game gone a little
Monsanto and Bloodyface also seemed pretty back and forth in that first game.
Yeah.
Good stuff all around. I would say that the play of the day, there's 2 of them that were really cool. One of them was Race versus Amnesiac with the Brawl hold instead clearing the mage board with the Dynamatic. And then I would say the Monsanto Faceless and Baleful Banker follow-up was pretty cool. Even though it looked like it was fairly obvious for the most part. It was just a cool play.
We didn't spot it, and hopefully at least a couple of you at home didn't spot it.
Chat always has spotted it.
Yeah, the collective hive mind there. But yeah, I think those 2 plays were stood out to me the most. I also just like watching some of the decks that we don't get to see as often, like Holy Wrath Paladin, even though it got crushed. And I always love watching Rogue in Grandmasters currently. It has a special place in my heart right now.
Muzzy versus Then we have Galen versus Edit.
Insane versus Race. Now get up right back.
Yeah, we drove that one.
Yeah. Final day of week 1. Been a whirlwind of a week so far, and excited to close things out. See who finishes the week off 2-0. To start things off on the right foot. Gallon also looking for his first win ever in Grandmasters after replacing Dog for this season.
First
we'll see if he can do it.
Grandmaster win ever.
That's right.
Get us off this desk. All right. It's been a blast. Hope you've enjoyed everything so far. And we do want to remind people that Grandmasters, you can check out all the action of what's happening with the VODs. I do want to give a shout out to our social team that's been trying to, burn the rope on both ends. There's Asia Pacific and there's Europe and there's Americas. But we'll be back tomorrow, and then after that we take a 5-day break and we come back on Friday to do it all over again.
With a new patch.
Any final words?
No. Excited for day 3. Excited for next week for multiple reasons. We got a new patch, and
that's right. Our last day on this patch before we move on to a world that Luna's Pocket Galaxy, Extra Arms, and Dr. Boom lose a step or 2.
Yeah, and also excited to see what happens throughout the remainder of the season. Last season we had nerfs and then buffs, a lot of crazy stuff. Maybe some crazy stuff in store for us as well after the nerfs this week. So
I don't doubt that. If you missed any part of this broadcast, make sure you check out the VODs, the deck list, players, standings, and all things related to Hearthstone Esports at playhearthstone.com/esports. That's it from us. Twitch.tv/playhearthstone will continue tomorrow, 2 a.m. Pacific, so make sure you tune in then. From Fr0zen and TJ, everyone here in Studio 5, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time for more Hearthstone action.